You want to create a magic system for your world, but you don't know how to handle it. Should it be hard, soft? Does it matter? What does that mean? And will it ruin your story if you choose the wrong one? In this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know about magic systems and help you decide what's right for your story. Magic is a staple of fantasy and sometimes other genres too, but it's more than flashy lights and cheap tricks. It really informs your world, your story, and who your characters are. A hard magic system follows a well-defined set of rules. Most of your audience is going to understand how it works going into it, and a lot of the fun comes from working within that structure, seeing how your characters are creative or how they manipulate it to sort of think outside the bounds of it. Think of Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know what people's abilities are, you know what to expect, but there's still a lot of room for creativity, growth, and surprises. If you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's a reasonably simple magic system. It is based off of the 4 elements: fire, water, earth, and air. Depending on where you're born, that is sort of what dictates which one you learn. Not everybody from that area can actually learn the magic, but a decent amount of people from each area can, type of thing. Now, waterbenders, they need a source of water and they can manipulate it with... It's based on a certain type of martial art. So water has a very specific look to it when people are bending it. The movements are very ebby and flowy type of thing. And as I said, it does follow certain rules. For example, it requires a source of water or a body of water. It's extra strong when there's a full moon because within the logic of the world, the moon is sort of what controls the tides, right? That's how the real world works too. But it also strengthens the waterbenders in that world. Fire bending, that takes, you breathe in oxygen and that becomes fuel for your fire. It's a more aggressive type of bending, and the martial art for that, again, looks a lot more aggressive. A lot of people lean into anger when they use it. And if a comet comes around, that makes it stronger. Earth, more stable, more grounded. It's a very rigid martial art that it's based on. And then air it might be literally based on Tai Chi technically, but it is very elusive, very much about, attacking things from different angles and whatnot. Each of these bending systems come with their own philosophy, and it kind of informs who the person is and how they interact with the element. Even with a hard magic system, you can have unexpected twists and exceptions to the rules. Toph, for example, she's an earthbender, but she uses a completely different martial arts system for her earthbending than anybody else does. That's because she didn't learn it from any other people. She learned it directly from the badger moles that taught earthbending to people in the first place. That's kind of the lore of how they learned it, right? It was a different animal that taught the different peoples of the world. Now, as I said, her bending looks completely different. She also uses it in a completely different way. Badger moles are blind. Toph is also blind, can't see a thing, maybe a giant blur that's like one color or a few different colors, but completely blind, can't use her eyes or rely on them for anything. She uses her earthbending to sense the vibrations in the ground and give her a sort of 360-degree view of everything around her. She sees, as long as everything is touching the ground around her, she sees better than a person with perfect vision. And that's what her earthbending is used for. Even though most people don't know that's possible, she is a master that uses it in ways that you wouldn't expect. In the same vein, it's made really, really clear that earthbending requires Earth to be around to move. And yet, there's a spot where she gets captured and she's put in a metal coffin. They make it very clear metal is too refined. You can't bend actual refined metal. Just not possible. You don't have enough earth in there to do it. As she's in this coffin, she's smacking around and trying to bend it anyways. A big philosophy of earth bending is just really go hard, push through the limits, face your challenges head on, and make it work anyways. So that's what she's doing as she's smacking around this metal to see what it is like at a sort of molecular level as she vibrates it. She realizes there is impurities in the metal. There is earth in the metal. She can see it. She knows how to do it. So she invents a style that makes her able to bend the metal on the spot, right? She crushes the door and ruins the coffin and opens it and gets away by becoming the world's first metal bender. That's something where we've been told it's not possible, but there is an internal logic that makes it make sense. And she is, from what we're seeing in the show, the best in the world at what she does. So we're happy about the twist and we go, oh, wow, we should have seen that coming. That's so cool. Waterbending has the moments like that too. For example, we're always told waterbending requires a source of water. But we have a swamp episode where there's these vine monsters and they're attacking the people. Now, magic and spirits exist in this world, and there's a bunch of messed up types of animals that you wouldn't see in real life. But these are like genuine bona fide swamp monsters made out of foliage, like Swamp Thing from the DC comics. It turns out those are local waterbenders bending the water in the vines to create this sort of Gundam or mech suit of vines that they can use to fight. Later on, we see a really powerful waterbender, and as I said, been established, we need a source of water, right? An actual like physical body of water. This person is so powerful and so strong that they rip the water straight out of the plants around them, grass, flowers, trees, whatever. It all instantly shrivels and dies. It's like everything was freeze-dried on the spot. She rips the water from it, and now she has water to bend. This is something we've established, right? We know that water is in stuff, just naturally. That's how life is. We know that the water in stuff can be manipulated. Think about the vine monsters. And now we're seeing water actually being pulled from the stuff because this person is just so good and they're using it in unexpected ways that are still logical and still consistent with the rules of the world. It's just, hey, we didn't think this was possible. I guess we didn't meet somebody this good before. We didn't realize it was a thing. Waterbending also tends to be done in the North and South Pole. Not in the South Pole because lore-wise all the benders were captured from there. But, you know, if you're in an ice place that is surrounded by ocean, you never get that desperate, right? Like you can melt the ice, melt the snow, turn it into water. You can bend the ice and snow. If you're in the North and South Pole, you always have that source and you never actually were desperate enough to try something like that. If we tried, we could have predicted that water would be used in that way. And it really is that feeling of, oh, I should have known, that really makes a hard magic system what it is. Building on both of these things, as we know, The full moon makes a bender more powerful. There's one point in the show where we get a full moon, and it's this bender that shows us pulling water from living things. She shows us that it's actually possible to bend the blood in a living person or animal and use them as a puppet and make them do stuff according to her will, whether they're resisting or not. She's just too strong. And that leads to a bunch of unexpected, unique interactions, and it makes for an absolutely incredible villain. And the thing is, we didn't know it was possible, but it's been built up to. The people in the swamp, they control vines and turn them into vine monsters. They puppet the vines. The waterbending master shows us we can pull the water from plants and use it as a water source. And then that same person shows us, hey, when the full moon is out, if you're real good, you're actually able to move people around. It's a huge twist and an incredible moment. And the thing that makes it so great is that it is perfectly based within the story. Let me know down in the comments section below if you want me to make a video all about that specific villain, that waterbender, because I really do think they're an absolute S-tier villain, and I think you can learn a lot from them. Common problems with a hard magic system are rigidity and predictability, but at the same time, they do provide a backdrop that helps people easily understand what's going on. Soft magic systems are less defined. Lord of the Rings is a really good example of that. We have almost no idea what Gandalf can actually do. Technically, if you read all the extra books and stuff, you get a bit more of an idea, but one, most people don't. They only see Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, maybe both. But even then, there's still a lot of room up for interpretation. It is very up in the air, a lot of questions, and it doesn't end up getting answered for the most part. Other good examples of this are Legend of the Seeker, Merlin, from King Arthur, Camelot, all that. Not much gets answered there. Very soft magic system. Game of Thrones and Star Wars are also examples of soft magic systems. What are the rules? We either don't know or only have a vague idea. And what are the characters capable of? Well, same answer there. A side note, Game of Thrones, that's an example of you can have a high magic system / setting, or a low magic system / setting. Game of Thrones is very low magic. It exists, but there's not that much. There is a significant amount more in the books, though. Darth Vader explicitly says the power to destroy planets is nothing next to the power of the Force. But what do we see in the movies? We basically see it used to push and pull stuff, jump real high, and aim to destroy the Death Star. There is, in the prequels, the reason the fights are so crazy and why everything's moving around so fast, it's because they're sort of choreographed with the idea that they're using the Force as a sort of precognition, or to see things so immediately that they know what's working and what's not before an onlooker would. But that's basically the extent of how the Force is used in all 6, not 9, of the real movies. Now, in Legends, the non-canon stuff, the comics, the games, whatnot, the Force is used more explicitly to show power. It is used to move a black hole. It is used to heal mortal wounds. It is used to not die from fatal wounds, even if the person doesn't possess healing. And it's actually explicitly used to absorb or devour planets. A cool thing about a soft magic system is that pretty much anything can happen. It facilitates whatever is the coolest at the moment, and your only limit is imagination. A problem with a soft magic system is that it can feel inconsistent, like it's forced, and it can downright infuriate your audience if it's done wrong. It can make them feel like everything is changing on the fly for whatever is required at a given second. It can also feel like your soft magic system has the whole plot solved already and the rest is just a formality, as if no matter what happens, we're pretty sure the wizard is going to fix it all with a quick wave of the hand. So which one is better? What should you use? You're going to get a bit of an infuriating answer here. Like with pretty much everything in art, there's no real answer. With a hard versus a soft magic system, there isn't actually a crisp line that differentiates the two. It's sort of all on a spectrum, right? You can have no rules, some pretty well defined stuff, and then you can have like outright hard written, everybody knows all the rules. It's a spectrum type of thing, right? There's no exact definition for what's hard and what's soft. Your magic system can be anywhere on that spectrum, and most stories have their magic system somewhere in the middle there. And the thing is, your rules don't need to be hardcore in your face. They can sort of work behind the scenes. If you were to watch two D&D wizards fighting, like Dungeons and Dragons, whether it be an animation or you're watching an actual gameplay video or something like that, it can seem like there's no rules at all, as long as you're not getting into the nitty-gritty of it, right? You're just watching the actual results and what's done. In reality, there are a lot of hard rules to it. There's a lot of stuff defined and whatnot. You can have a pretty well-defined magic system that comes across as on the softer side, but it'll also still feel like it's got a good amount of internal consistency at the same time. You can definitely take aspects from both and decide what works for you and what you like. In general, it does tend to feel more like there's an internal logic and more consistent if there is a certain amount of rules in there. And if people know how stuff works or has a decent idea, it can be more satisfying. The biggest takeaway here is to actually get out and write. If you don't discover your style, you'll never know what works for you. Don't force yourself to be one or the other, and don't shoehorn yourself into a specific category just because you're chasing a label. Do what works right for you. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. I'm very willing to answer any question you got.